Hey everybody, how are you doing tonight? I am doing wonderful, and I appreciate you asking very much. Actually, I have gotten a couple of email messages and some texts and some messages on Telegram. For those of you that don't know, today was day number 1 of my retirement. Now, whether it's going to be permanent or extended or temporary, I don't necessarily know at this time. I just know that for right now, it's me time. I just couldn't keep doing what I was doing. Life's too short. And so I do appreciate all of the happy well wishes and messages and the memes that I got from my friends on Facebook. But I got to spend some time today doing a whole bunch of nothing on day number 1. Me and Hay took a couple of naps. I did a little bit of yard work, did some grocery shopping, and came up with some ideas that I wanted to talk about in a couple different videos. This actually was going to be number 3 in that series, but it looked like it would be the most fun to make and the one that was as close to an idea for a finished product at the time when I started it. So kind of like Star Wars, I'm starting on episode number 3, but it was a good day. It was a good day, and I do appreciate those that asked. This particular video is targeted to a different set of friends, just to kind of share with them what I have going on in my other life. They know I'm invested in Bitcoin, and they know I like cryptocurrencies, but other than, a couple of them, it's still, they're watching from the sidelines, and God bless them. This is not a shield to try to get you involved. It's an explanation as to the why now part of the equation for me, not the what. I'm not the guy for the what video. And the why, I've got an idea for the why video, and I'll touch on some of those points. But the why now really is, to me, the easier of the videos to make as far as the idea. But I'll tell you what this won't be. This won't be a, hey, we're going to the moon video and, wind moon and all that shit. That I did in yesterday's or the day before's video, but that was strictly just for fun. To me, the why now is the most important part of the whole deal. There's a whole lot of stuff going on right now, and this is not necessarily a news video because some of the stuff we're going to talk about happened a couple of weeks ago. This Meltem Demirors was in Congress for hearings on Facebook's Libra coin, and Bitcoin got carried in the sidecar. And that turned out to be a really, really good thing for Bitcoin. I mean, it was a great day for Bitcoin, and this Demirors just stole the show. Who is this articulate, intelligent, incredibly beautiful lady who's been thrust into our living room?
How you doing?
How you are doing?
I didn't know. So I did a little bit of research. Whenever you do research, I want to find out, whenever you got something going on, you want to put down the pros and the cons. So I did a little bit of internet stalking today of my new infatuation. The pros, well,
Meltem Demirors, and I am Chief Strategy Officer of CoinShares. Today I'd like to discuss cryptocurrencies, mainly Bitcoin, and Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network, Bitcoin. I thank you for your time and look forward to your questions.
Now, one thing that you can say about Meltem Demirors, she loves her some Bitcoin. She is the Bitcoin Newt Rockney, and it was just, if you want to see a love story, I'll put the link down below if you haven't seen it yet, but her entire testimony, the entire testimony of the whole day was incredible. It was incredible. And if you haven't watched it, you definitely should. Ms. Demirors announced this week on Twitter that she does have a vagina. Now, I will say this, that's one of the great things about living in this country. I personally have worked with vaginas in my past and found most of them to be fine, hard-working vaginas, and fully support vaginas in all the good that they do for this country. When you're running down our country horse, you walking on. Now, as I said, I and the channel are big supporters of vaginas, so we squarely put vagina in the pro column. Actually, I don't care either way. I got a weird sense of humor, sorry. However, if we had the option to have this face on camera on this topic with people paying attention, would you rather have this face or Craig Wright? Oh my God. Would you rather have this face in front of the public or Justin Sun having lunch with Warren Buffett? So then we have our first con. She's married. So there goes that whole infatuation thing. Actually, I'm kidding. That should be in the other column. I'm just being silly. Turns out if my internet sleuthing and stalking that I did for 10, 15 minutes, it appears that her husband is this guy. Barstool Sports, which I love this site. I go here quite often. I like that site a lot. So that's cool. So, hey, anyway, guy, no offense. I knew that, but the vagina thing had already written itself. So, sorry. You get a free shot at me sometime if we ever meet, all right? But however, I tell you this, my brother. Your wife right now is the hottest thing on the internet. The hottest thing. Just the passion and the excitement and the energy and the honesty. I don't know, man. It just poured into living rooms all across this country. And she is the talk of the nation right now, so you should be very proud of her. During that hearing, it was electrifying. And that's one of the reasons that I think that this whole congressional hearing was a good thing. I mean, we got shitcoin on the congressional records. I mean, it was out there over the airwaves, right? And it was out there all over social media and memes and everything. But shitcoin is now written in the permanent congressional record. That's kind of cool. But of course, there's some really weird stuff from the Anita Hill trial that's in there too. But I'm not going to go into naming that. But it's really good. I mean, I think it's good because as I sat there and listened to what I was hearing in Congress, I was hearing F Libra, but Viva la Bitcoin. I mean, there's other stupid idiots that are always in there. But I think that the overall message, especially for Bitcoin, was very, very positive. Now, I will also tell you this. I would be really interested to hear what she thinks about Ethereum and the DeFi network, but any more on Google or Twitter might be considered stalking, and I don't want this to get weird. I mean, we already have said the V word, so. And then, of course, Donald Trump weighed in on Bitcoin, and it was about what you would expect. Sorry, drink of water there. It was about what you would expect, and quite frankly, it was exactly what every president from George Washington up until the last administration would have said as well. Perhaps not maybe if he hadn't said it first, but definitely would have said the exact same thing when it was their turn at the stage. But I don't want this to turn into a political thing. Well, hang on. Yeah, I do actually kind of sort of here. For all you folks out in California, this guy right here, who y'all let get elected with a 71% ratio. I mean, come on, guys. Congressman Crypto Pajama Pants. Y'all need to vote this guy out in 2020. Just vote him out. And here's another example of our high quality visual and editing equipment and software. Vote that guy out, man. Vote him out. But again, like I said, he did exactly the same thing that every single president before him would have said. What would be really cool, assuming that he wins re-election, is sometime in the next 6 years, somebody is able to get in front of him and say, hey, this is what it really is. And you know what? Don't be like Warren Buffett with Amazon and Google. You have to be the president. You have the opportunity to be the president that goes on record as actually supporting this. So you may want to relook at this later down the future. But I understand why the president of the United States, regardless of his name, would come out against Bitcoin. You want, and assumingly we need, to be the unit of measurement throughout the world on a currency basis. I get it. And like I said, that's the exact same reason that every president we've ever had would have said the exact same thing. The part that I did find funny was the part where he talks about Bitcoin being created right out of thin air. I thought Mnuchin sitting here holding this sheet of money printed right out of thin air was kind of funny, kind of ironic. And it also reminded me of a Jerry Seinfeld stand-up bit.
A check is like a note from your mother that says, I don't have any money, but if you contact these people, I'm sure they'll stick up for me. If you could just trust me this one time. I don't have any money, but I have these. I wrote on these. Is this of any value at all?
Like I said, it reminds me of that. And our dollar ain't banked on anything but debt. And that's a scary thing for me. So again, back to what we started talking about at the beginning of this video. Why now? Well, I am not one of the guys with a sandwich board out on the corner talking about the end is coming. But there are some things that are reminding me to what happened back in 2008. And I ain't necessarily even talking about what happened beforehand, but even afterhand. But if you have not seen the movie The Big Short, you need to watch it. Now, it's Hollywoodized in some parts, but if you went through that to see some of the reasons why you went through that, will kind of piss you off and maybe give you a better understanding of the why when we do that video. Yeah, and who's at fault? Is it the Democrats or Republicans? Yes, you both equally suck, so don't sit there and point fingers at each other. You both suck. From Clinton all the way to Obama. That's the reason that Bitcoin came into existence. But there's some things that happened right after the 2008 when I was doing some day trading that reminds me to what's going on now. Now, I'm happy that my 401k has done what it has done, but I am starting to smell some of the same stuff. And what I mean by that is, and maybe you remember this, but there would be quarterly earnings reports, and people would meet their numbers or not meet their numbers, and stocks would go up and down based on whether or not they met their numbers. But it wasn't based on sales revenue. Did you have more sales revenue than last quarter? Did you have more sales revenue than you had last week? Did you have more sales revenue than you did the year before? And the answer to all those is, yeah, fuck no. We didn't. You know how they made their numbers? Well, A, the numbers were lowered. And B, it wasn't because the sales excelled. It was because of self-imposed austerity programs. In other words, the reason they did it is they had 15 people doing the work of 20 instead of hiring those other 5. And that's how they made the numbers. Boy, talk about backing into a win. That is totally backing into a win. Back to Ms. Demirors. Like I said, I think the thing that is great is that it was being talked about in Congress, on the record at all. And there was a lot of positive questions, and there appears to be some fans of Bitcoin in Congress, which is a good thing. But don't forget, Don't forget, man, it is their sandbox. Even when you're making money over in your corner, it's their sandbox. Don't ever forget that. That's in the real world. That's in the crypto world. I mean, in the real world, you saw retirement accounts back in 2008 go down 60%. Now, they bounced back, over a series of years. But again, don't ever forget who's in charge. But there is some really cool things you can do over in your little corner. There really is. I want to come back to this for a second, and as I mentioned that movie, The Big Short, the ending is the part that is the most dramatic. I mean, the entire movie is a great movie, but the ending is the exclamation point where they talk about, oh yeah, and all these people, they went to jail and this and that. No, they didn't. The government held their hand. The government was an accomplice. Too big to fail. Well, the little guys weren't, because that's who paid the burden for this. Nobody served jail time. Again, I'm not the guy on the street corner carrying a sandwich board, but is there a global financial crisis going on right now? Well, I think that there's evidence that there is, not to be this guy, like I said, but I think there's evidence that there is, whether we're talking Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Greece. You got Great Britain talking about leaving the EU. They got a brand new prime minister who basically says we are fucking leaving the EU. And then you see, well, how much of the EU is Britain, and what's going to happen to the EU when that percentage is pulled out of their business. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on right now, and you got to be an eternal optimist to believe that this is all going to miss the board, But the one thing I would ask of the government, and they ain't going to do it, but the one thing is to at least be honest if you want to attack cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin in general. You know what? Again, fuck Libra, but if you want to attack Bitcoin, stop. At least be honest. Stop with the laundered money bullshit. Because, has there ever been any money laundering with cash? I don't know. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Do you know what kind of criminals use Bitcoin?
I gotta do it, man.
Stupid criminals. That's how you catch them. It's the blockchain. It's out there for the world to see.
You hearing me?
But at least stop the fucking money laundering and the drugs and the illegal activity. Stop that attack. Go after the illegitimate crypto funds. But leave the legitimate ones alone. You're embarrassing yourself. Not that Congress people standing up saying stupid stuff that embarrasses themselves stops them in any way. But maybe you need to take a step back. So if you wanted to put some money into Bitcoin, how much should you put in? That's up to you. But even if you did something as simple as this, $100 a week. This is since January 1st of 2018. Now, this is if you're just now potentially thinking of getting into it, or maybe you already are and you're coming around for a second helping. And again, this is not financial advice. This is a what if. All right, let's make absolute certain of that. This is not financial advice. This is a what if. But if you'd put $100 in a week since January 1st of 2018, you would have just under 1.5 Bitcoin right now. And is it worth that? Now, is it going to go up in value? Hell, I don't know. Maybe.
That's it.
But it is a gamble. And it absolutely is a gamble. And there are no guarantees in life. So I can't tell you what's going to happen as far as the dollar value over here. I have my feelings on what I think is going to happen to that dollar value over there, but that's inconsequential. You know what I do know, what I can guarantee you? that if you had done this since January 1st of 2018, you would have just about 1.5 Bitcoin. You would have, I guarantee you that you would have more Bitcoin if you did this than if you didn't. How about that? That's a guarantee. That absolutely is. But, you know, how much you put in, that's a you thing, man. That's a you thing. $50 a week, you'd have almost a full Bitcoin. Don't bite off more than you can chew, if this is something that you want to do. But don't go thinking that you need to catch the wave at the exact right time. The best thing to do is to, every Friday, just throw a little bit in. The price is here, cool, throw a little in. The price is here, cool, throw a little in. And if the price is here, you guessed it, cool, throw a little in. But again, not financial advice, but something I thought worth sharing with you.
Meltem Demirors, and I am Chief Strategy Officer of CoinShare. Today I'd like to discuss cryptocurrencies, mainly Bitcoin, and Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin, the Bitcoin network, Bitcoin. I thank you for your time and look forward to your questions.
1, 2, 1.